Welcome to episode 316 of the Cultra Trail podcast. My name is Jordan Buck. Let's start the show.
From the belly of the Beast Coast, Glastonbury, Connecticut, this is the Cultra Trail Running Podcast. We talk about all the fun shit that happens on the trails that most normal people don't care about. The language we use is f***ing explicit and raw like the trails we run on. So don't listen with your kids! No kids. Cultra is brought to you by our Patreons and supporters, and we are 112% listener supported, and support is good.
All right. Well, welcome everybody to the Cultra Trail Running Podcast. I'm your host, Art Byram, and I am joined by members of the Cultra crew, Evil Becky Burke.
Oh my God, I can see so much better now. Hello. Yeah. Hi. And it's now I have to put on my reading glasses instead of my progressive glasses when I'm looking at the computer.
Oh, okay.
It makes me feel so old. Anyways, hi.
Hey, Beck.
Bless you.
Who was that?
That was my husband sneezing.
Oh, okay. He's podcast famous now. So
Brendan, you're podcast famous. He said great.
That's good. Yes, he's very thrilled. As
he said it in his thrilled voice.
Yeah, too. That's key. All right. So let's see. I guess like our intro kind of tells a lot about what we do, but if this is your first time listening, you'll notice that we're not starting off with the big roll of sponsors or anything like that.
No Desitin or Fesitin.
Yeah, we were going to have Desitin sponsor us, and we were going to have Canadian Trail Fishing Magazine. They were knocking on our doors for a long time.
They were.
Yeah.
They were.
But we're 112% listener supported. So that means that we cut out the middleman, because it's really about our listeners and about us, mostly about us, and then about the listeners. So if this is your first time, welcome and get ready. Because hopefully you're going to enjoy this. Don't listen with your kids. And we do kind of, we mostly talk about Northeast trail running and Northeast trail runners. Some people think that we're just about Connecticut, but certainly not. We also talk about the other, other states on the East Coast, or basically the Northeast more than the East Coast. I think the East Coast is too broad of a term. We love a good running story no matter where it happens, but
true.
But New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Vermont, Massachusetts.
We care about Maine, you a little bit more. If we had an extra gel and you needed it and somebody from New Mexico needed it, we might just give it to you, the person that lives in the Northeast.
Unless it was Ross, right? And he was in Colorado.
Well, I was just thinking about him. Hi, Ross. I was literally just thinking about him. I love Ross.
Yeah.
But I love New Mexico. So I would give someone in New Mexico my gel.
Yeah. That's just because that's who you are. So.
Or I'd give them some other random thing that's inappropriate to give to someone that you don't know in the middle of a race. Because that's right. Like what I do.
Here's some toilet paper just in case. Just saying. All right. So to that spirit, today we're going to talk a little bit about some events and talk with some our special guest today, Jordan Buck. Jordan is from Long Island.
Upstate New York, not Long Island.
Fuck. I fucking
No, that's okay. That's okay.
Oh my God.
Difference there.
Yeah,
I keep doing races down in Long Island, so I guess that's my
all right
career area.
It's still New York, right?
So yeah,
kind of. Although you know what,
there's a line somewhere.
Yeah, if you ask somebody from upstate if New York is actually part of New York, or any of the five boroughs are part of New York, I don't really know.
Yeah,
like they are kind of different animals, right?
Definitely different animals.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So Jordan, where are you from actually then?
Johnstown, New York.
Okay.
About 45 minutes west of Albany.
Okay.
5 hours north of the city.
For some reason, I thought there was like Smithtown and Johnstown. I kind of thought that would be like on the island somewhere. Wow.
No.
just like that. Okay.
What you said that you do a lot of racing in Long Island. What sorry, I'm probably just going totally off.
No,
but,
that's okay.
You know. Yeah.
Jordan says it's okay, Beck, so go ahead.
Yes. So do you do the ones with the happily running or
happily running? No, it was or happily running. Happily running, right? Yeah, I did the shore to shore 100K this year down there.
Oh yeah. That's nice.
Then I did Staten Island, New York City trail mix twice. So this year and last year. It's 50 miles. Very nice race. I like that one a lot.
Very good. Huh. Now
never heard.
Yeah, tell us about that real quick. Before
Staten Island?
Yeah, just before we go into that, I just want to tell for our listeners to kind of let you guys know what's ahead.
No, that's okay.
So we're going to be primarily talking about the SRC Backyard Ultra, right?
Yep.
But first, let's hear about the if you want to talk about the trail mix a little bit, that would be great.
Yeah, so trail mix, I did it for the first time last year, right around this time. It was my first 50 miler last year. And that's just a great race. It's very well run. There was some like last year when I did it, there was like a mix up, and there's like a 50K, marathon, a 50 miler, and I think a half marathon. So probably about like 5 miles in to the race last year, I was out in the front of the pack, and the volunteer was at like a crossroads, and I said 50, and I didn't specify K or M, and I got sent to the wrong way. I think there was more to it than that. Like nobody was supposed to go the way that I went. There was like some course vandalism stuff going on and stuff like that. So it was me and about, I think, probably 15 of the front people, the front runners, and we got sent to dead last. We added 4 extra miles. Like we just did the 4-mile loop. We just did again. And like the race director, he wasn't aware of it. And then when we came, it's like the race itself is 3 16-point-something mile loops. And then there's like, in the first couple miles, there's like an out and back on the loop, and you have to like punch a card or punch a hole in your bid with the hole punch. So this is a great, this is a good story. So we ended up, me and about 15 others ended up in the back, and I hit the same bridge twice in the first loop, and I was like, something's wrong. And I was like trying to rely on my watch, and my watch was like, no, you're on course. And it's just because I'm standing on the course, not because I'm in the right spot. So like they're trying to talk to their crews and talk to the race directors and get everything going, and nothing was, we were just like, what are we supposed to do? And then I was just like, well, I just gotta go get him. I gotta go get him. So I like went into aggressive running mode and like just ran my ass off, and
to try to like catch everybody.
Yeah, I tried to catch everybody. I think to start the last 16-mile loop, I was in 3rd overall from the back, having run the extra 4 miles, and then we did like the out and back, and I like that out and back. You're kind of able to see how far ahead the leader is and stuff like that. So I was like, oh yeah, it's on. I got him, And we came around and we got to the last aid station, and the volunteer there was like, hey, stop. You're one of the runners who got turned away turned the wrong way in the beginning of the race, right? And I was like, yeah, me and a bunch of other guys back there. And he's like, okay, so all you got to do is take this path, and it's going to cut 4 miles out of your last loop so that, you'll be back on track. And I was like, nah, I've been chasing this old man this whole entire day. I'm gonna go get this old man.
Fuck yeah.
So I got him.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. It's like,
so
listen, I
great.
listened to you last time. You think, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on me again. Wait.
That was like their inaugural year, so you know, I went back this year and it was buttery smooth, just like that. The environment is fantastic. The race directors are awesome. It's definitely something to check out if you're in the New York City area.
And it says a lot about I think like you're saying, like the race and the race director, when, you do get, because I've had that happen to me too, where I get lost, and I was in a 50K and we were like, we hit the 50K mark and we were 2 towns away from the finish line. So we realized that we had definitely gone off course. And I was like furious at first. But the RD was great about it. And like, he was like, oh, I'm sorry. And this, and that. And I mean, I still have done the race like every year ever since.
Yeah.
So it's
no harm, no foul. Especially like he fixed it on the move, kind of like had to make some adjustments and find a way to do it. And he did. And I think that was great.
Gotcha. So joining us, we have another member of the Cultra crew. We have Fred Marola. Welcome, Fred.
Hey,
I'm here. I wasn't here, but now I'm here.
You are here.
Excellent.
But you were always here.
Oh,
That's right.
yeah, I was
heart.
always there. Yeah. Yeah. In Becky's heart.
Very good. Very good. So Jordan, before we talk about the Backyard Ultra that happened in Long Island, I want to know, I'd like to kind of talk to you a little bit about how you got to the starting line and kind of get a little bit of background on you, if that's okay. So if maybe you could share with us
your deepest, darkest secret. Go.
No. Yes, but no. If you could kind of give us a little bit of background, like maybe where you were born and how you found your way to the starting line, a little bit of background, if you could.
Yeah. So I was born right where I'm at, Johnstown. Let's see. When I graduated high school, I joined the military.
Mm-hmm.
I was in the Army for 4 years, and I think that kind of had a profound effect on the rest of my life. But it introduced me to like doing hard things and reaping the benefits of doing hard things and overcoming challenges and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But it also introduced me to alcohol.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So there was like when I got out of the Army, there was probably like a 2-year period where I was just kind of like, just going through the routine, just getting drunk, just going to work, coming home, and not really doing much. And I think like it took like in the Army, I was like, I'm kind of like a thick-headed kind of guy, and I'm kind of like full of energy. So it's like a lot of times somebody's always going to have to like grab me by the shoulder and be like, hey, listen. And that happened a lot in the Army. Like they saw me making, the wrong choices or doing something like this. And they kind of like I had great leaders who would be like, listen, asshole, you're being stupid. and just kind of like showing me how to be an adult, And when I got out of the Army, I was kind of like I never was in like a leadership position in the Army. Like everybody's kind of a leader, but not really when you're, an E4 or whatever. So when I got out and when I was sitting around for a couple of years or whatever, I felt like I was kind of like waiting. Oops, there goes my cell phone. Told you that was going to
happen.
Yeah. I was kind of waiting for somebody to grab me, like, hey, listen, you're messing up. You need to fix yourself. What are you doing? And the longer that I went down that path, the more I started to realize, like, nah, nobody's coming. Nobody's going to do that for you. You have to kind of do that yourself. So, I actually started going to the gym with my friend to try to like get into some sort of routine of like health and at least something to get me jump started, I guess. But when I was at the gym, I kind of found myself staring at the treadmills a lot and the treadmillers a lot. So that kind of evolved into like me going on the treadmill, and that evolved into me running. And I started training for a marathon. I didn't know that I was a good runner, period, until I joined the Army. I didn't run in high school. I rode BMX bikes in high school.
Oh wow!
Made poor decisions, but
now the BMX, now that's a bicycle, correct? Like
yeah,
what you're doing.
But I even know that, Art.
Well, I'm just clarifying here. So you're catching a lot of air and stuff like that, and
doing tricks, injuring myself.
Scary.
Now, were you racing doing that? Is that what that was? Racing or freestyle stuff?
Yeah, freestyle stuff.
Okay. Cool.
So like when I got to the Army, I had done like a couple of runs like prior to leaving and shipping out and stuff like that, and it didn't really bother me because it wasn't, I didn't think anything of it. But I like got to basic training, and it was like in the Army you have to take a PT test, and like part of that PT test is a 2-mile run, and you have to like a perfect score for the run segment of that is under 13 minutes, or it was at that time. I don't know if it might have changed. So like we would go out with my drill sergeants and practice these 2-mile runs, and they were behind me every time, and they didn't like that at all.
Yeah.
So they would like add me to, these longer runs and try to break me off and do all this stuff. And then I started honing in on getting that perfect score. And by the time I graduated basic, I think I ran like a 12:30 or something, 2-mile. And
that's great.
Yeah. So then like in the Army, I started running and not taking it seriously. I guess ran when I had to, but I still I like that part a lot. So anyway, so then when I got out, so I was like, after the gym and stuff, started training for a marathon because I don't know why, but I was like, shoot big. I wasn't even aware of like a marathon was like that. That must be, that's the greatest thing. That's the largest of all.
It is.
And so I started training for it, and I was like, I could hit like the 6:45 pace for like 10 miles or like something. So I was like, okay, I could maybe like qualify for Boston Marathon. And I was like, I don't think I really want to run Boston Marathon because it's just a lot of people, and I don't know, but I would like to qualify and see what happens, So I was training for that for a little bit, and ended up I flew out for the specific marathon I was training for, Shroon Lake Marathon. It's like a good little marathon up here. I ended up missing the first year because I went on a road. Well, I flew out to Washington and like had an opportunity to take a road trip from Washington to New York instead. So didn't get the opportunity to run the marathon. Then it was like, got back from the road trip, didn't really get right back into training, kind of not really fell off, but wasn't running like I was prior. So then somebody told me about this guy named David Goggins, and I was like, oh, who's that? And I read his book, and I was like, that like blew my mind that people were doing 100-milers and all of this stuff, and like trail running, like it just all like, that was just like my introduction into ultra running and running like that, and it's just like to an extreme level.
Yeah, carrying the boats and everything. Yeah.
I'm not. I was never into like the hype behind it, I guess, if you want to say that. But I like the sentiment, and that's kind of just what opened the door for me. And so then I was just like 100 miles, and just started digging. So I started like looking, and there was like a 50K, pretty close by in Albany, 45 minutes away. I think it was probably like 3 months out at that time. So I signed up for it, ran it and won it. And then it was like, okay, there might be something here. So then I did like a 6 hour time thing. I think 2 or 3 months later, ran it, won it. And then I was like, oh, there's definitely something here. And then I just like,
now where was the 6 hour?
The 6 hour was about in the same area. It's in a Cohoes called Flutters and Foliage.
Okay.
That's fun.
Nice. All right. So, wow. So you found out that you kind of had a little bit of, like on the longer distances, it looks like you had some, some potential there.
Yeah. That's kind of exactly what it was. And then I was like, what if I dedicate my entire well-being to this?
Sure.
How long have you been racing?
This wraps up my second year of competing. Yeah.
That's great.
Very good. Cool. So then did you attempt a straight out 100-miler?
Yeah, I did. Beast of Burden up in Lockport. That's ran by Happily Running too. Yes. That was August 1st, I think, of this year.
Yes. Yeah. And you won that race, right?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah. Very good. I think the year before Tony Bonanno won that. Our friend.
Did he?
Yeah. Or I'm sorry, Tony got second in that. I think he was first male. I think there was a female who won the race, if I'm not mistaken.
I think based on my time in the past, like 5 years, I wouldn't have it kind of depends on who shows up,
Always. It's always like that,
Yeah.
Right, Fred?
Right.
As far as like who shows up.
You can only beat the people who are there.
Yeah, it's true.
Yep.
Well, but you can talk shit about the people who aren't there, Fred, right?
Well, if you win, you can talk shit about everybody, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
It's true.
That's right. Yeah. Wow. So that's out on the Erie Canal Trail, right?
Yep. I think that's what it's called, is Erie Canal Trail. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so. So I could tell you a story about the Erie Canal Trail if you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All you need to do is to listen to one of the last 315 episodes, and you might hear a little bit about the Erie Canal Trail.
I listened to 1.5, and I don't think I caught it.
Really?
That's right.
Oh my gosh.
It's overdue.
That's unusual.
It is.
That's because we're kind of humble here at the Cultra Trail Running Podcast. So we haven't paddled the douche canoe down the.
I know we haven't paddled in a while.
Well,
we need to get paddling. Paddle art.
I'm not going to tell the story about how I biked unsupported from Buffalo to Niagara to Albany on the Erie Canal Trail.
I thought Peggy was meeting you at different places.
She was. No, she biked with me.
They rode together.
We rode together.
So see, you were supported by your wife.
So
we were supporting
like the Empire State Trail, or was it prior to that?
It was the I think parts of that overlapped.
Yeah.
So
sweet.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun. We did that in 2020. So
nice.
At the height of the pandemic.
What else are you gonna do?
I towed a trailer and a bike trailer, and it was a lot of fun. So, and we went through what's that? Lockport, I think, is where your run was, right?
Yep.
So
Beast of Burden.
Yeah, and that's a beautiful part of it, but it's also a relentless, wide open course. There's not a lot of shade, or anything. So
it's kind of cool that there's the aid station inside a building, though.
So when I ran it, they had like construction on like the back, I think probably like 8 miles. So I think we had to do like extra laps and compensate for that, because it was like you run up to it and then it was just closed.
Oh,
so they ended up getting an aid station in a garage at night, though.
Yeah, the standard course was 12.5 miles out to some town, and then you would like go into this like little downtown area and turn it into a building, like a storefront building, and that's where the aid station was.
I think I remember watching like the YouTube videos and seeing that. But
Yeah.
Wow.
Did it in 2013, so
13?
a ways ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. Excellent. Okay, so that was your first 100, is that right?
Yeah. Yep.
And how did that go? What did you think of that? And
Yeah.
That was incredible. That was awesome. That was like I've kind of had like imposter syndrome throughout the beginning of my ultra running career, because it's just like, I'm new here. Even though like I've won this race and I've won this race and I'm currently winning this race. It's like I'm still new here.
Sure.
But I think like after I did the 100, even like I still kind of have it, because it's not the 100 that I want to do. I want to do 100 like with elevation and like the big dog stuff.
Yep.
But like last year when I set my schedule, I bought all my races at once. So I just wanted to do the 100 and then maybe combine it later, whatever. Anyway.
Well, no, there's something to be said for that. I mean, it certainly doesn't hurt to kind of work out some of the kinks ahead of time, right? Like first, let's see what the distance is about, because that's the unknown, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, figuring your shit out, right? I mean, it's kind of like a very adult thing to do, right?
Yeah.
Before you do something irresponsible, you find out details, right?
Yeah.
So
here's the responsible way to run 100 miles.
Yeah. So after you finished it, what did were you like, was there any moment where you were like, oh, fuck this isn't what I thought it was going to be, or hey, this was great,
or I'm never doing this again. Don't ever let me do this again.
I don't think so. Though I'm usually like quick on to what's next. Like, okay, I've hit that benchmark. So like, what's the next step? What's going on next? Every time when my running buddy's here, it's like every time we do something cool, that's great, but it sets a new standard for us and for what we're doing.
Yes.
So that's kind of how I've always looked at everything.
Gotcha. Excellent. So had you done another 100 before you went into the backyard?
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah, that was it. I did, I think in between the 100 and this, I did Cayuga Trails 50.
Don't you love that race?
I love that race. Yeah, that was fantastic.
So beautiful.
That was incredible race.
We were just talking about that. We were on the podcast, right? Was that who I was talking about?
Was that Ian Golden, or we're talking about, or was that Ellie Pell you were talking to?
Who the heck was I talking to?
Yourself?
I don't know. Was I on the podcast, or was I just randomly talking to someone? No, I was randomly talking to somebody during the run, during our run for the woods and the burning woods. Yes. Mm-hmm. And they said something about Cayuga, and I was like, bah, 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 bah. But yeah, it's just so beautiful. I had no idea.
That is an incredible race.
Yeah. People that haven't done it, do it.
Yeah, definitely. That was like that has some elevation to it. I think that has 10,000. So that was kind of like cool. Now I got some elevation, a big elevation race.
Yeah, that's Excellent. Great. I love that race.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry. Go on.
So then, so then how did you find your way to the backyard? To the SRC backyard in Long Island.
Yeah. So I met a bunch of the Long Island runners at the Shore to Shore 100K. Kind of been talking to them for quite a while. We're in like Strava groups and stuff like that. And they posted it, and then I looked at it, and it was like I think $80 when I bought it. So I was just like, I've always like Backyard Ultra sounds sweet. Like I've always, ever since I heard about that, I was like, yeah, I was looking at one when I was signing up for my races this year. It just didn't pan. I think I was on a wait list as well for one. Didn't really pan out. And going down and hang out with the Long Island boys, the 50K ready boys.
Sure.
Can't really beat it.
Yeah. Now, did you meet up with Thaddeus Nelson at all?
Thaddeus Nelson. I don't believe so.
No? Okay.
Maybe we've talked. I just don't remember the name.
All right. Yep. Okay. Yeah, I just thought maybe because I know that he's out in that area, right?
Runs on those areas, right?
Yeah, because that's right where the what do you call it? The Greenway, I think, right? That goes from Hauppauge to. Well, I don't know.
I've been to Long Island twice.
Okay, all right.
Those two races.
All right, then I
won't
play geography test because I'm not qualified. I was throwing a softball there, hoping you were going to catch.
Well, that was one of my activating words, Hage, because I know that's where the race was. So
Hauppauge,
or maybe that's where the Airbnb was. Yeah, I don't know. It's one of the words that I know from Long Island.
Okay, all right. Let's see. So, so your friends told you about this race and you thought it would be a good idea. And then let's talk about your prep for it. How much planning went into this and how much was fuck around and find out?
It was mostly all fuck around and find out. It was I was putting together a pretty good training block. So, okay. When I first made my schedule for this year, I originally had signed up for JFK 50 as well. And that was going to be my end of the year race. And, but also my friend was going down to run Trail Mix, the same race from last year. And I was going to crew him. And those are on back-to-back weekends. And then it was I think there was something else even on a third weekend. So I had to make a good financial decision, even though I wanted to run JFK. I was okay, I'm just going to cut JFK so I don't have to go, spend the travel money, spend the Airbnb money. And
JFK is not cheap either, right? I mean, that's over $200 right?
Yeah, I think it was $200.
Yeah.
So I was I'm just going to go to the Trail Mix. I'll crew you and I'll start prepping for the Backyard Ultra. So I started putting the, my little training block together. And it was 2 nights prior to the Trail Mix, and I was getting all excited for my friend because, I really liked that race. Last year was the inaugural race. I set the course record. I was all hype about it, and I called him and I was listen, Spencer, I need to know how much you need me there to crew you. And he was if you want to run it, just go run it. And I was are you sure? And he's yeah, absolutely, 100%. And I was okay, consider me signed up. So I ended up running that 2 or 3 days later. And then that kind of the backside of that, I wasn't feeling physically sore, but mentally tired just because I've kind of put a lot of races together this year. And I really wasn't I expected to run that and then bounce back right into, take a slower week and then bounce right back into a training block. And it didn't really work like that. I was kind of sluggish, it just wasn't going well together. Still hitting 50, 60-mile weeks, but it wasn't what I intended on at all. So I going into the Backyard Ultra, I thought I was undertrained.
Gotcha. So up until this point, have you had a race where, besides getting lost, where something really fucked up and went sideways on you?
I was kind of thinking that too.
Because it's so far it's everything's kind of going good and this. So have you had
have you had an evil Jordan moment yet?
Yeah.
You have?
Yeah,
right.
the short 100K was by far my worst race.
Tell us about that.
So I don't know if you're familiar with Ryan Clifford, but he's a Long Island runner, and he is he just finished 8th at JFK this year. He's He did the Tesla Hertz, I think, in like 14 hours or 15 hours or something crazy like that. He's wicked good.
Okay.
And so me being me, knowing who, like kind of doing some research on him, looking forward, I was like, I'm gonna get this guy. I did not get that guy.
You're Jordan fucking Buck, right? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
No, so he took off, like he took off and I took off, and I was like, I'm a fast runner, I took off and we're feeling it. And there's like a good section of like the first like quarter of that is like pavement. So we're like, he's moving and I'm moving, and he is way ahead of me. And I look down at my watch at like mile 4, and I'm running like 6:10, and I'm like, wait, wait, I should not be doing this right now. So I kind of like
tried to reel it in.
Yeah, reel it in, like, ooh, relax. It didn't work. It worked to like bring it from like a 6:10 to like a 7. Like that's how it worked a little bit. But like I kept getting lost terribly. Like
that's so frustrating.
It was really, really bad.
Like you feel like you've got it, and then you're like, no, I'm literally not even going the right way.
Yeah.
Well, I must be going the right way because I followed you here.
Yeah.
I did that in a race once. I followed Becky.
And I tried to tell him that we were lost, and he kept saying, no, we're not lost because I've been following you. I'm like, I know, but I'm lost. And he's like, but no, we're not, because I've been going exactly where you're going. And I'm like, I know. So you're lost because you're following me, and I'm lost. It took some time, but Art eventually got it that we were in fact both lost. So anyways.
So once he was gone and out of the picture, I kind of like reeled away in. But I got lost, I think, twice in the first 15 miles, probably for like a mile and a half total. But then once it was always on the roads when I got lost, always running on the side of the roads, just because I don't know, just maybe like the flagging. I don't think the flagging was.
Yeah, I think that's
common
for
my eyes.
Because a lot of times, if you're in the woods, you're on single track and you know which way to go, right? So
yeah, you follow a track.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward that way. But sometimes on these roads, you got to turn, and it's not that well. Might not be marked.
But I ended up like once I hit the trails and I got in my groove and stuff, I was having a good race, and I held second down for the bulk, like probably the 51, 52 of that race. And from my trusty aid station or trusty crew chief, his updates were saying I was 3 miles ahead of the next guy, so then we go back out and I get to the roads again, and I got lost. And I got lost for miles, like 3 miles at a rip, because the flags were like, they weren't like, you couldn't see the next one from the one you were standing at a lot of times. So it was hard to kind of judge like if you're going the right way. Just because you can't see a flag doesn't mean there's not one that's going to come up. So I'd be running for a while, and then just get into a groove, and I just kept going, like, oh, there's gotta be one, and there wasn't. And I turned around probably like a mile and a half, got back, and I was in fourth at this time, and it was both the two guys in front of me. I knew both. Well, I didn't know at this time, but the guy who had taken second is the race director of SRC presents the Backyard Ultra, Mike. But anyway, so I like catch up to those guys, chit chat a little bit, and then I pass them again. And then I go, okay, so then I stop at an aid station, and this race I discovered some pickle juice. I didn't know about pickle juice. I had maybe heard a rumor or two about pickle juice, but I hadn't actually indulged. So they had like the shots, like they're specifically, I think, made for
this.
So all day throwing those back, pickle juice. And I got to like probably the second to last aid station, and they were like, I was like, hey, you got any pickle juice? And they're like, no, we just have this empty jar of, or it is pickle juice, but it's not. It's no.
Need to drink this mayonnaise.
Here's this empty jar. It used to contain pickles. Now there's just pickle juice. So I'm like, yeah, hell yeah. So I got it and I chugged the whole entire, chugged it. And I was like, might as well load up on pickle juice while I can.
Yeah, if a shot's good, a half gallon's better, right?
Yeah. So I take 3 steps and just out comes all of that pickle juice that did not.
I wasn't expecting to hear that. Oh,
nice. I
didn't think that. I wasn't thinking that was coming. I
thought you
it took 3 steps, and I was like,
neither was I. No, it completely. I mean, I still felt good once I was relieved of that. Mike had caught up to me. He watched me vomit that entire jar of pickle juice. I think we actually started like dueling, kind of like I was going, he was catching up. I was going, he was catching up. And then I went straight when I should have turned right. And that was just like, no. And I didn't know how long I had gone for before I missed my turn.
How much damage you'd done.
Yeah. So I turned around and I think I turned around, I started running again. And then I come out to like a point in the race where there's flag. It's like an intersection, and there's a pink flag to the left and there's a pink flag to the right. And I was like, okay, what do now?
Yes. 50-50.
So I kind of flipped a coin on it, went left, ran like half mile or something, and this older lady's like, hey, I think you're going the wrong way. And I was like, no.
Of course.
And and that was just like it for me. I was like, I'm done here. Like I finished the race, I walked it in. I think I came in 10th overall, but it was like, I can't keep doing this. And I kind of like mentally broke. I needed that kind of experience though, because it was like the feeling I had from not giving it my all and not competing when I was available to compete, that lasted forever. Whereas like my legs and stuff were fine in, a few days or whatever. But like the how pissed off I was at myself for not even giving a shot. Like, who cares that the course is or that you keep getting lost or whatever, I should have went. And I kind of like made a promise to myself from then on, like, if I'm there, I'm alive, I'm active, I'm competing. If I'm giving it, if I like, if I'm injured, then I can't, that's one thing.
Yeah.
If I'm available, then I need to be competing.
So have you changed any, like, cause I'm hearing a theme here, right? Like of, getting, wrong turns and things like that. So if you like adjusted your strategy as a result of this, or are you just gonna run faster? Sorry.
No, it was a huge theme was me. I got lost all the time.
Yeah.
There was like at Cayuga, I think that was like the next race after the 100K. I like got the GPX file and put it on my watch and made sure I had turn by turn stuff like that.
And and that worked out then, or?
Yeah, that worked out.
Oh,
fine.
Cool.
That worked out perfect. I think I got off course like one time for a little tiny bit, and my watch told me so. And then which this was like super cool because it was like as soon as I got lost, we were in the woods, and then we come out to like a road section. And as soon as I hit the road, there's like a Subaru comes riding by real slow, puts his blinkers on. And a guy gets out and he's like, hey, are you one of the one of the front guys of the 50 miler, and I was like, yeah, and he's like, did you just get lost back there? And I was like, a little bit, yeah. And he's like, oh, I am so sorry. And it was a race director, and they had like not finished putting out every flag yet, so I missed one.
Oh, so,
like,
so you were ahead of the flags.
It was a little bit, yeah.
That was Ian
I would
Golden,
have to start with that part of the story.
Yeah. But he
cool.
like he like apologized like in the moment, and that was just like super cool. That was awesome.
Oh, very good, very good.
That is very so. Have you, if you don't mind me asking, when you were saying that, you got back from the military and you're kind of waffling around and whatever, and then you discovered that joy of running. Did that translate a lot into the rest of your life and your other day-to-day things, and how you were spending free time or time with friends, or your eating habits, or stuff
100%.
like that?
100%. Everything kind of revolves around this now for me. It's just kind of like, I feel weird if I'm not running or training. Like now, for the first time since last year, I have an open calendar. Like I don't have any more races on the schedule, and I'm like, what do I do? I got a pretty big thing coming up in May.
Yes. Yeah, we want to. I definitely want to talk to you about that. Maybe after we talk about the Backyard Ultra. So I thought maybe.
Oh, right, forgot that.
If we could maybe switch to the Backyard Ultra now. That would be great. So maybe you could kind of, or Fred, I'll tell you what, Fred, maybe you could kind of explain what a Backyard Ultra is to maybe somebody who's the uninitiated out there.
So there's this guy who lives in Bell Buckle, Tennessee, and his name is Gary Cantrell, and he goes by the name of Lazarus Lake. And there's this listserv that used to actually be popular among ultra runners back in the day called the Ultra List. And Gary Cantrell put out this idea on the Ultra List, like, what if we had a race that we ran 4.166 miles every hour and then started a new race every hour? So the race would go until only one person was left, a last man standing, if you will. But the reason for the mileage is that you would go exactly 100 miles every 24 hours. And the first race of this type that I'm aware of was in Laz's own backyard. And it was on a trail that he made in his backyard because he has many acres. And the first race, I think it ended around the 24-hour mark, maybe even less. And he was a little bit frustrated by that because he wanted people to suffer for a longer period of time. Right? That wasn't enough suffering.
How long was it, did you say?
It was like 23 or 24 hours, the first one, maybe 25. Okay. So he started at dawn. It was in October. It was about 12 hours of light and about 12 hours of darkness. But a lot of people ended up not finishing the course in the night because it was on a trail. So he may have done this a couple of years, but eventually, by at least like year 3 or 4, he realized that he could get max suffering if he had people run the daylight hours on this trail and then map out a road course for night. That was really easy. So there's no excuse to quit during the night because you're just doing it out and back on the road in front of his house.
Because you're just exhausted and have been going for hours and hours and hours.
Yeah. So he like put together all the rules, like you have to be in the starting corral when the bell goes off and like all these rules. But what it basically comes down to is you have to start at the beginning of every hour. You have to complete the 4.166 miles every hour.
Sorry.
And if you don't start at the beginning, you're out. And if you don't complete it by the hour, you're out. And people have done it over 100 hours now. That's the world.
Wow.
I think it's 110, but which is ridiculous when you think about it. That's like 400 and I don't know. I think it's close to 450 miles.
450, yeah. Harvey Lewis.
Yeah, Harvey did it.
Yes.
He's an elementary school teacher from Ohio and also a national class runner. But Courtney DeWalter won. Laz calls his race Big's Backyard Ultra because he had this dog that he rescued that he named Big. And so BIG apostrophe S, Big's Backyard Ultra. But now there are races all over the world, and you qualify for the big race by winning different qualifiers all over the world, and then like the best of the best get to go to Big's Backyard Ultra in October. So it's really an all-star field now.
Crazy how that, what it started at and where it is now, and just how it just took on this life of its own.
Is.
Oh yeah, and there's something about it. I mean, Laz was onto something. He's very devious, and he's the Ball State race director. He's got other races that he directs, HOTS, and there's a third one, the Last Circle of Hell, I think is right. Which are just long races in the summer in the South.
And the Barkley marathons.
Yeah, Barkley, which still only has ever had like, I don't know, 12 different people finish it and one woman ever. Yeah, this is Laz, and he's got this thing that's this incredible franchise now, really, like that there are people all around the globe who are doing it, and there's some interesting things about it. A lot of it, Jordan could tell us, but a lot of it's mental because at the front of the pack, everybody's really good. At some point, you're going to quit, but it's only 4.166 miles every hour. I mean, like a good runner, someone like Jordan who was at a 6:10 pace, you can run those 4 miles a lot faster than an hour, pretty much no matter how tired you are. But if you're thinking of trying to win the race, you're looking at the person next to you and thinking like, how many more hours is he going to go or she, right?
Yeah.
Right. So I'll leave it there and let Jordan talk about his race because so much of it is definitely going to be mental, right?
Yes. Fred, thank you so much. I am so glad that I asked the question, and you did
that's good. I
great
learned,
background there.
Did I pass that test?
Fucking A.
Flying colors.
You know what? We're going to renew your contract for 2025. Okay, it's done.
All
Let's
right.
just be official.
In case you were worried.
I'm throwing that shit right out there now. Okay.
My contract's still pending, by the way.
Okay. Becky's written into it's a constitutional what do you call it, mandate or something?
Yeah, it was part of my signing up for Strava.
That's right. Yes.
I did sign up Strava and do that. Anyway, sorry.
Okay.
Onward.
So Jordan, tell us about what was this race like? Like, tell us about the course there. Like, what was it like to actually, what did it involve? What did the route look like?
It was pretty good. It was, I don't want to use the word like standard trails, but there was a little bit of single track. I guess a pretty decent. I've been trying to remember like the daytime loop for a while, like the details of it, but since it's daylight savings time, majority of that race was that night. Was the night loop, I think.
Yeah.
But like the day loop was, there was a couple like sandy spots, and then it was single track, a couple not major hills. I think like later on they became major. I don't know if they grew in size or what that was all about, but nothing too crazy, like pretty smooth sailing trails, I guess, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. And then at night, did you guys have a road loop as well?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes. So it went from road to like gravel path kind of. And it was like a T down and back. It wasn't like a loop per se. It was more like down, like out the starting gate, take a left, go down, turn around, and go up past the starting gate and hit that gravel trail, and then turn around and go back to the starting gate.
Gotcha. So, I want to just kind of talk because I ran today with a friend of ours, Kelsey Eng. I ran with her tonight, and we were talking about running the Run Ragged, which is it's not a true backyard because it has a trail course all the time, and it's a fucking just beast of a trail course. And in some cases there's a river crossing too in the middle of it too. When it's raining, certainly. But she had talked about the difference between her style, which was to run it at basically a slower pace because she had a cold year, and just to she didn't leave a lot of time for each loop to take care of stuff, but just because she didn't want to get cold or sit around.
Cold. Okay. I thought you meant cold, like I didn't have a great year of training. It was a cold year. I'm like, no. Neat. I've never heard somebody refer to it as a cold year. All right, go on.
No, versus Sarah Connor, who ran, I think, the year before, and she would leave herself like 20 minutes every loop or something like that,
Wow.
She would run it pretty quickly and then just like sit in her chair for a while and recover, so looking at the results here, Jordan, I saw it looks like there were some drastically different strategies as far as if I'm reading this right.
You're talking about my loops?
Yeah, compared to your so why don't you start out by telling us kind of what your strategy was and how it if it changed during the whole event, like what was your typical loop or how did you approach it?
So the numbers kind of lie. Well, they don't lie, but the reason for, I think, the discrepancy or the variations is because the aid station was on the way to the timing mat. So like,
okay.
A lot of those times I'm probably like stopping at the aid station, getting some food. But my plan was to come in at 45 minutes to 50 minutes, and as far as I know, I hit every single one in that time.
Okay. Okay.
Wow.
Now I saw like there's a guy, Brian, who ran that. I don't know if you saw.
Is he the fast guy?
Yeah. Because I'm showing, if I'm reading this right, it looks like he ran 100 miles in 14 hours and 33 minutes.
Yeah.
That's true, huh?
That is true. He was.
I thought you could only do a certain number an hour.
Yes, you can, but I think for some reason they kept time. They
okay, got it.
When you crossed the mat, they would tell you like how early you had done it, so they aggregated that time.
Got it.
Which is really fast on a trail like that to do.
I mean, I can do that.
He was moving every single time. Every single time he just took off, and I was just like, okay, eventually he's not going to be there. But I didn't speak to him, so I can't speak for him. I'm not,
we can make fun of him though. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Like I said, hey, if you win the race, you can say whatever the fuck you want.
The rumors on the trail were that prior to this race, he had only run a marathon, and his goal was 100 miles, and that's exactly what he did.
Yeah. So I mean, if that is the case, then congratulations to him, because that's pretty cool,
absolutely.
Right? Absolutely. To run a 14:33 debut, in this style.
Yeah, but he ran 100 miles and he was tied for first place. He could have kept going, right? Because everybody's tied for first place.
That's right.
There was a big drop off after 100. It was just one other.
I saw that.
Yeah. So you kept that same pace the whole time? Did you have any close calls?
Yeah, were there times when you were just like, I want to run faster, or I want to run slower, or I
because
pull my eyeballs out?
There was there was 250 people who signed up. So like, and when you first entered the trails, it went straight to single track. So there was a lot of like bottlenecking for like the first, until the big die off at like 50K. And then even there's still bottlenecking after 50K, but like after 50 miles is when you could kind of move. Well, even at 50 miles, it was nighttime, but, so I didn't even have the option. It was just like, yeah, we're here. We're just going to walk, there's a crowd in front of me, crowd behind me. And I was nervous the first lap. I was really nervous because I was like, oh, I hope I don't miss the cutoff because like I can't move. But then like even with all the bottlenecking, I think I still made it there with 10 minutes to go, and I was like, oh, okay, so I'm not even concerned.
Gotcha.
Do you think that helped? Like sometimes like the bottleneck, it helped to keep you in check. Yeah,
absolutely. Especially if I had seen that other guy taking off in the beginning, because I would have probably ruined my race trying to keep up with him for no reason.
Wow.
Well, it's hard to when you see other people going and putting those blinders on and saying, don't like forget what's going on around you, just focus on what you're doing. So.
Yeah, very hard.
So I see it looks like a bunch of people made it to our, a relative bunch. I guess like 8 of you made it to 100 miles, right?
Yep.
And then when you went out for the next yard, it was like there were 2 of you.
Yeah.
How did that really surprise you to see that, or did you kind of know that was going to happen, or what was your thought on that?
I wasn't sure what it was going to look like. I knew talking to some of the people, like their goal was 100 and that was it. So I think I had like 3, like 1, 2, 3, they're going after 100. And then I got out of the car and I didn't even see anybody at first. I was like, oh, that's it. And then the second place, you have his name?
Kevin Krause?
Yep. So he was there. And he was like, I'm going to do one more with you. And I was like, okay, cool. And it wasn't not with me. He was coming in at like 55 minutes, 56 minutes. And then we went back around and then he's like, one more. And I was like, okay. Yeah.
So wait, did you both then decide together, like this is it?
No,
sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. No, you were there. I wasn't. So you got to answer the question.
I love that you were.
I will. I'm not afraid to. So.
And I'm so used to you doing that, Art, that I didn't even think twice. I was like, oh, wait, yes, Art. Tell me about Jordan's race that you were not at.
Not how we were feeling at that moment, Beck. That's not how we were feeling. So.
After the second lap we did together, I lined up in the corral and he came out to the corral. So I was like, getting ready for the third lap, and he came over and gave me like high five and a hug and stuff like that. And I was like, all right, let's go. And he's like, no, man, I'm calling. And I was like, oh, all right. Gave him a hug. Like, congrats, dude.
Gotcha.
And
then you have to run a lap by yourself, right?
Yeah.
How did that last lap feel?
It was emotional for me, I think.
Yeah.
Because you're by yourself too. Like you're like, this is it. I own this course now.
But I think it was like 8 or 9 in the morning too. So all like the early morning trail runners are out there doing their run, and I was like waving to them and looking all.
And they're like, "Good morning." You're like, "I've been up for like 5 days."
Yeah. They're like, sorry, if you could please move to the side and let the real runners through, please. Like, we're you're going to jog or whatever. There's no shame in walking a little, I guess.
If you don't mind, what does that number on my watch say? No.
Yeah.
I like that.
Boy, yeah, you have to say, this morning's a little bit it's a little bit colder than yesterday morning when we started this run.
I'm glad it's
good
finally starting
what
to
did
warm
you
up.
think? Excellent. And so I have to note this, and this was what really cinched it. I wasn't, I was thinking like, we could have them on. So Jordan, how many miles did you end up running?
112 and a half.
Lord.
112.
You know what? Before even, as soon as you asked him how many miles he did, I was like, oh, for heaven's sakes, now I know. Yeah. Art has a thing about 112 miles.
I do.
112 miles specifically.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's I've had like a bunch of races where 112 keeps coming up. So
all right.
we had the cut, I guess I have the cut 112 here.
Yeah.
All right. This race. I have to move the thing that I got here. Yeah, this is our race here, the cut 112. And then
our
Becky and Fred and I ran twice across the state of Connecticut, and that turned out to be remarkably, like, running once across the state on trails turned out to be 112. Running twice the out and back across the state in a different part of it turned out to be 112 as well. So, and then
wow.
That number came up in a 24-hour race for me as well one time.
Fantastic.
It's like that's like my number. So you and I, we have this special bond now.
We're on the same wavelength.
We are. So,
wow.
So congratulations on the win there.
Thank you.
That's really cool. So I before we move on to the next thing, do you have anything else to say that you wanted to mention about that race?
I almost quit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, tell us about
really?
that.
Yeah, so
we were both like, ooh.
Yeah, you shit yourself. Tell us about that.
Yeah. It was. I don't know if I did. I verbally said I'm done to my crewman. My buddy Spencer came out, and he ran it as well. So once we made a deal, like whoever drops first gets promoted to crew chief, and he earned his promotion after his 100K, which is a PR for him.
Good job.
He ran a 50 last month, and that was his PR. So, and then this month, doubling up, new standards. So I think it was like mile 77 in the 77 to 80 range. And this was simply just due to like it was freezing cold. So in like the break times, I sat in my car. I put like a sleeping bag on, cranked the heat, and it was like mile 80, and I was just sitting there like nodding in and out of consciousness, like, and like Spencer was like 1 minute or whatever, and I'm like, nah, I'm finished. I'm done. I don't want it anymore. And then
he was like, I will tell you when you're
yeah. He's like, do you mean that? And I was like, do I mean that? Do I mean that? Do I mean that? No. And I like rolled out of the car and then hit me. But like right after that, like that loop, it was like new. It was like the whole rest of the race was like buttery smooth, and like nothing. I told him, I think a few laps later, like nothing is getting worse. Like I don't know if this is like peak or like what's going on, but like
wow,
nothing is getting worse. It's just staying at the same level of everything.
Fred, what do we call that?
What do we call
it? Can't always get worse, right?
It can't always get worse. It doesn't always get worse. It never always gets worse.
Right. I don't know, like I, when it was me and what's his name again? Chris.
So yeah, in second place, we're talking about Kevin Krause.
When he kept coming out, I was like, I'm good. I can go for the rest of my life, whenever,
Gotcha. Yeah.
Did you talk to him about that?
No, he wasn't there when I came back around. It was just like goodbye. He was like with the All Day Running Company, I think, too. I don't know. They had like a whole setup there. He was in a Tundra that the plate was like All Day Running Co. or something like that. Anyway.
Oh, he's a lot older than you. He's old enough to be your dad, Jordan. Come on.
Yeah.
You with this older guy, and you like had to beat him, huh?
Well,
I hope you're happy.
Some of us run all day.
Age adjusted, he kicked your ass. I'm just saying.
It is.
No.
I
gotta
really
say
like
that as an old guy, right?
of a backyard, because it's like that's something I can do when I'm not as fast as I am right now. Even when I get older, I can still do those type of races and be competitive. And I think that's shout out to Laz.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
So
I think
there are a
that's what
couple of
makes
things I
those
wanted to say
races
before we
neat.
drop that race.
Yes.
Right.
I got it.
One is you can only, in order to get a really good number of hours, like anything over 24 is good, but what makes a good race is the second best person, right?
Assist.
Yeah, 100%.
Because you need an assist, because like if this guy had dropped at 24, Jordan would have only done 25.
Right.
Well, he does 27 because the other guy does 26. And
But that brings
like
up
you
a
were
good
saying, you
point.
felt good. You could have kept going.
Are there backyard ultras where somebody's done and the next person, the one last person, it just keeps going and going and going?
No, you can't. You can only go on.
It's on your own time after that.
You get disqualified if you do.
You lose.
The race is over after.
Then you're off course.
But you know what there is, Becky? There have been ones where somebody's done and the other person says, I'm done too. And then technically nobody wins. Because you can't really have
that would drive me crazy.
Yeah.
So on that note, there's leading up to this race, one of my buddies I met in like the Strava and Instagram stuff from the Shore to Shore, his name is Jake. He had done Canyons this year. He had done Moab 240 this year. He won the Backyard Ultra last year. So like leading up, I was all amped up to go toe to toe with him at the end. That was like my anticipation was like me and Jake are going to bring it to how last man standing, like it was going to go to some crazy level. And 3 weeks before this, Jake was riding his bike and he had an accident and he broke 2 ribs and lacerated his liver.
Ooh. Oh my gosh.
And he ran 88 miles at the backyard. So
wow.
Like next year, I think me and Jake and whoever else wants to join the party is going to bring this to bring it deeper.
Wow.
Very good.
Yeah.
Because that's what makes for a good race. You have at least 2 people who are going to go deep.
Yeah. So it was really like, I don't want to say like, oh, Jake should have won that race because he didn't. But if he was healthy, it would have went a different way, I think, than it did. I don't know what way specifically that is, but we'll find out next year.
All right. And there are no pictures out there with you like putting a stick in his spokes when he was riding his bike, right?
No, he kept falling too in the middle of the race. Like he fell down twice. He fell down once next to me, coincidentally. No. But I'm just like, hold on. Or I think you're muted here for some reason. Is that your mic or there
Thank
we go.
you.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's just things to look forward to next year.
Gotcha. Okay, that is exciting. I did also want to just recognize the 2 first females, Rachel Summerson and Julie Vidola. Both of them looks like they got to 100 miles as well.
Julie, it was like mile 92 or 93. And Julie, I got a lot of miles in with Julie. And she turned around and looked at me and said, I wonder when this is going to get hard. And I was just like, what?
So that's what she said, huh?
Yeah, that's what she
said.
That's what she said.
Wow.
That was awesome. That was just like the quote of the race was that for me. And
that's great.
Another quote of the race was like every milestone, Mike, the race director, when you got there, he would hand out like a sticker to put on your bib to say like, oh, here's a half marathon, here's a marathon. You made it through the day, you made it through the night, 50 miles.
I like that.
He handed me my 50-mile sticker, and he was like, "Congratulations, your next milestone is in 12 hours." I was like, "All right, I'll see you there. See you there."
I love shit like that. That's great.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Okay. So yeah, congratulations to everybody who did that. And I think a lot of times these things gain traction over time, and everybody goes there and learns a little bit and then comes back next year, and we see what happens. So I wanted to talk to you about, now you have a big ambitious team event that you're involved in also, Jordan.
Yeah.
Maybe you could kind of tell us about that.
Okay. So I'm not sure if you or your listeners are familiar with Team Red, White, and Blue.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
But maybe just you could kind of give us a rundown.
Yeah, so it's Team Red, White, and Blue is basically like a nonprofit organization that kind of helps vets basically like live a healthier lifestyle and compete. They put on events, they host events, and they help out with a bunch of events all over the country. Their main objective, I guess there's like multiple objectives with what they do, but I think it's like to develop a community of veterans that kind of like carry that military mindset of like, every day we're doing PT, every day we're getting better, every day we're doing this, to the civilian side of the world where it's like, if you're not surrounded by people like that, you're not going to be like that. I don't believe. I mean, you can be, but it's harder. It's much harder. And I think that Red, White, and Blue makes it like there's chapters all over the country. Like there's a chapter here in Albany, there's a chapter down in New York City. They're all over the place. And yeah, I just think it's about spreading the joy of physical fitness amongst veterans, so they're not doing the things they shouldn't be doing.
That's great.
Yeah.
I know mental health and mental health is a challenge for everybody, right?
Yeah.
But I think particularly veterans, it seems to be something that veterans struggle with, right? From going to going 90 miles an hour doing what you're doing in the service, and having a lifestyle and a reality, and then all of a sudden pulled out of that and thrown into a different reality. Now I was not in the service. I don't know what that's like. I just know that even on a micro scale, if you run, if you do an ultra and you're involved with it for 40 or 60 hours, and all of a sudden you're, that's over. You come back and you're like, wait a minute, I'm not.
Everything's moving in slow motion.
Where's all my best friends? Where's all my best friends that I was suffering with? And so how has that been for you, out of, as far as physical activity and Red, White, and Blue and things like that? How is, have you found it to be a big struggle, or
sort of, like I said earlier, I was kind of doing nothing, not too much of anything. I guess like I would hike mountains and stuff like that, but I didn't know about Team Red, White, and Blue or anything like that, like until Paul Johnson did the Transcon. So like that's kind of like, if like I had to dig myself out of a hole, or whatever you want to call it. And I think that a lot of people might not be able to dig themselves out of a hole. And I think that's where Team Red, White, and Blue could come into play, because they'll bring their friends and they'll bring shovels, or they'll whatever.
I like that you bring your friend. That's great.
Shovels are for digging holes, so I guess that doesn't make sense, but whatever.
I got it. I thought it did.
Well, you can fill in holes too, right?
Yeah.
So, or hit people with them.
Yeah, whatever it may be. I think it's a great thing for vets to get involved with, because it brings you right back. Like I just went a week prior to the Backyard Ultra. I went out to like meet a team and stuff. And I was just surrounded by those type of people, and it was just like, these are my people. There's like just a whole different realm of people.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So now what are you going to be doing with them? Why don't you tell us about the whole event that your involvement with them?
Yeah, so it's called the Old Glory Ultra Relay. It's a transcon run from San Diego to Washington, D.C. It starts May 2nd of this year, next year, 2025. And the way that it kind of works is there's 12 runners, and so the runners were not broken down yet, but they're going to get broken down into 3 teams of 4. And each team of 4 is going to have a crew chief, and each team of 4 every day is going to be responsible for 8 hours of running. So, and the crew chief is going to be the one who decides like who's running what and then what mileage. So it'll be probably like 15. Well, to start, it'll be like 15 miles a day, as it's all supposed to be a 7:30 to an 8-minute pace for the whole thing. And we're going to set a world record. So
that's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you're going to be carrying a flag the entire time, right?
Yep. One flag. Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Excellent.
I mean, that's awesome, but I have to say, when I get tired, I would want to just, you know how I get. I'd be like,
It's tough. It's tough running with the flag, because
you gotta hold it and stuff.
Yeah.
And, in a weird way. And
I think the best way, you have to like come up with some sort of rotation. That's the best advice I got, and I think that's the best way.
Gotcha. Now there's some. Now I'm trying, and Fred, maybe you can help with this. There's certain people that have done this quite often, as far as run, long distances with flags. Fred, now do you recall who? It seems to me that there was somebody doing that like in 20. I'm thinking it was like around 2020, maybe 2019.
I don't know, but I know that there was a guy who, I don't know if he did the whole thing, but he started a transcon. His name was Greg something. It started a transcon in 2015 or 16. And was running across the country with, and he used to run like ultras, running with a flag too. So that was his thing. He would run all of his ultras with flags.
Okay. Yep. Because I thought I saw somebody at the Forbidden Forest who ran it with a flag as part of this. So I apologize for not knowing that. So Jordan, so do you know any of the people that you're going to be running with, or?
Yeah, they just flew us out to UHP, the University of Health and Performance out in Arkansas. And we had like a team building session. It was really crazy what they did. I don't know how, but I feel like only 10 of us made it. Two of the guys weren't available to make it, but we just did like crazy team building stuff, and it was as if I've known these guys forever. They like, I don't know, some sort of witchcraft, but we just talked and did workouts, team building stuff. We did like a 5 mile 5 mile time trial to see where everybody's at and stuff like that, and took like personality tests, and they have like a state-of-the-art like recovery center down there with like crazy cold plunges and saunas and stuff like that. So that was really cool.
Very good. Yeah, it is that really sounds good to make that connection too. I think that will definitely serve you well as you get as you're all getting together for this journey. So, all right. And is there a fundraising aspect to this? I didn't. Tell us about that.
I actually just got the email today. I think they're trying to raise $1 million throughout the whole thing. I think because they were talking about like each giving us our individual like fundraising links and stuff like that. But from the email I got today, it was more like there's going to be a giant pot and you can like say who you're donating on behalf of or something like that. I think that's going to be up in January.
Okay. All right. So yeah, if you have anything on that you could send us, even if it's not available at the time, hopefully I'll be able to put it in the show notes.
Yeah. I'll send you like the link for the run itself, and I'm pretty sure it'll probably be up there.
Okay.
Like the webpage.
Yeah. And then as it goes, I encourage you to, reach out to me, and I'll make sure that we put it up on our Facebook page and kind of remind people as it gets closer to the event, to kind of look back at this episode, and,
absolutely,
do that. So we'd like to, certainly, it's just $1 million, right? So Patreons, we are listener supported, and we have very generous Patreons. So I'm sure we can throw some of that sweet Patreon do-re-mi your way. So we'd love to support that. And because it is, I think it's great what you're doing. I think it's going to make, it's if it did nothing else, it's going to make the 12 guys who do this. It's going to make a difference in your lives, right?
100%. It already has started to. Just like some of the athletes on that team are very, very experienced, in different aspects too. There's like some old time ultra runners that are just like, they've been doing it, and they like one of those guys, Gavin, he's the one who told me I need 45 to 50 minute loops on the backyard. And that was like, that worked out perfectly. Okay. So then there's like world champion, like the Hydrox, what is it? The Hydrox or something, like the weight. It's like kind of like CrossFit games, stuff like that.
Okay.
A couple of those guys in there, and they bring a different element as far as like, it's not just strictly running. Here's a good how to get stronger in your shoulders, something like that.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of different people with a bunch of different experiences that I can grab from.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, we definitely would like to help in that regard. So,
absolutely. Thank you.
We'll be supporting you, and also, helping to let everybody on our show know about it as well. So there'll be a place that they can, if they're able to help out too. So,
yay.
Very good. So do you have any other events or anything else that you're like your future goals? Like, what do you, or have you thought about future goals like that, or how's that look for you?
So I want to do like a big race, a big major race.
Mm-hmm.
I have one in mind, but I'm not sure if like with running through May, because this race I think is in September.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the White Mountains of New Hampshire.
Does it start with a J?
Indeed it does.
And does it have another J after it?
Indeed it does.
Okay. All right. Good thing it's not the Jigger Johnson. So.
Yeah. That was one of the episodes I listened to.
Oh, very good. Yeah. That was that was a lot of fun talking to Mark and everybody. So
I can't say like for sure that's what I'm going to go for, because the training block might not be big enough, I think, to get me in the shape that I really want to get into. But like there's a couple FKTs up here I would like to hit. There's Northville Placid Trail. It's 144 miles. I would like to try to give that a shot. I think the FKT is like 50 to 54 hours, something like that. And then I don't know. Big things.
Yeah.
I want to do large ultra running things. I'm not 100% sure what that looks like right now, but
yeah.
I ain't stopping for nobody.
I don't, it's like, a lot of times you come in and you ask like, a sixth grader, like, okay, so what the fuck do you want to be when you grow up?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Who knows? I don't know. I'm going to kind of figure it out as I go through it. And that's cool too. So, it looks like you've had a lot of fun with it and have chosen some very, some really cool goals. I mean, attempting, just a backyard at going after 100-miler and, this relay where, relays are just a whole nother level.
Yeah. It's
the amount of, I don't want to say that it's pressure, but just because it always works out.
People depending on you.
Yeah, but it's a really cool thing,
It is. I love doing those.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah. So
I'm jealous. I want to do that.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
We're going to have
nothing like being in, like, it reminds me when we used to do Reach the Beach. We did our ultra teams and it was just the van gets so stinky, but you're also used to it. Nobody realizes that you're all disgusting. Yeah. And it was just so fun. Like, you just get out and like run as hard as you can. And then like get in, and maybe the first 2 times you like change clothes or whatever and kind of, towel off a little before you run again. And then after, it's just, you get in the van and you just lay there and fall asleep all sweaty and crusty and then jump and do it again.
Yes.
Love that.
Oh my gosh.
It's going to be quite the experience.
Very good. Well, Jordan, first of all, congratulations on on your win at a Backyard Ultra, the SRC event over the past weekend. And, looking forward to watching your journey as you guys go for the world record, carrying a flag across the country with RWB. And, looking forward to your next, your next adventure there. So,
me too.
Thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So
keep doing great stuff, Jordan.
Thank you.
Very cool.
You've hit the ground running really fast. So you're doing great stuff.
Very good. So to all of our listeners out there, first of all, thank you very much for your listening and for your support. We are 112% listener supported. So, if you'd like to become a member of our Patreon, you can become a member of the Cultra crew. You get absolutely no benefit from doing that. There's no firewall.
You do.
Or anything.
You get us to talk about you a lot.
Yeah.
Obsess over you.
Correct.
Create a nickname for you.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it does. Yes. That's right. You do get your name on a Porta John. So you become
totally
famous.
Do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Porta Podcast famous.
We'll mangle your name in any number of them.
And it'll stick because there are many, many people who we came up with a nickname for them, and that's how it's saved in my phone. That's how I refer to them. I never call them by their actual name. If somebody else does, it's like weird. It's like when you see your teacher in the grocery store.
Yeah.
And someone says their first name and you're like, yeah.
Who even
That's why I never say the word Kate. Or never.
No.
Pom-poms and you say gelato.
Gelato, yeah.
That's right.
Say bada papa.
Destroyer.
Anyway, sorry.
They know who they are.
No. They do. So these are still the early days of Cultra. So we welcome you guys aboard. And I guess to all of our listeners out there, again, thank you. If you've made it this far, of course, seek professional help. And we'll see you all in a mile.
Mile and a half. Or if you're Jordan 4.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Well, Well, I hope everybody enjoyed that episode. I do want to take a moment to thank all of our Patreons. Now, these are people who give a monthly donation to help support our show. So I'd like to just kind of recognize them at this point. If you're interested in becoming a Patreon, there's a link in the show notes, as well as if you just go to patreon.com and look at Cultra Trail Running, you'll see us there, and you can sign on, okay? I'm going to go through the names now. First one, hashtag Hundo Joe. Next up, Albert Star Galactica, big $sign Albert Star Galactica. Then we have 113th Mile. And then 2 New York Banano, A Marcus, Amy Jennifer Hanlon, Amy Jennifer Hanlon's friend, Amy Mauerpower, Amaya Sorensen, who's our pharmaceutical rep. We have Andy Tidd, the Pride of Plymouth. We have Angelia Rose. Hi, Anna G. And Tony de Betancourt. Antony. It makes it sound like Antony. Or Ant 1. It could be Ant 1 de Betancourt, too. So I guess we'll never know. We have our hot dog salesman from Austin, Texas. Or our hot dog salesman from Texas, Austin Frank. Azam Shazam Pulatov. Got Ben Nolette. Have Ben with one N. Ben Double N Griffin, Berkshire Trailheads, Bessick Do the Hustle, grinding all his life. Got Bikini Chicken, burp. Bill Gibbs. Bill, I got to get out and run with you again on a Monday out on Crescent Lake sometime. We have our patriotic Patreon, Bill Gilpatrick, and then Lord Odendahl of Lake Warramug. First of his name. Brian Musiak, listen to him. Got Brian O, who is basically Amy Jennifer Hanlon's Irish cousin, Brian O'Hanlon. B. Rice Henley. Celeste Fong, a ding dong. Not only does she show up most weeks, not this week, to record the episode, but she's also a supporter. So that's pretty cool. Sherry Bilby. Got Chocolatey Chipperdoodle. Got Chris Ortiz. Got Chris Rosall, Knows All, Sees All. Christine Chinhing. She's still probably hungover from 2 episodes ago. Or 3 episodes ago now. So, Christopher Coangelo. Crisco. Clement Scented Chunks. I wonder what they're scented. What scent do they actually give off, those chunks? Let us know, okay? Leave it in the comments. Hello, Clarice Reinhardt. Got Crutch Lee. David Hoops and Poops. David Hoople. Got another Dave. We got like 3 Davids. David Hide and Seek and David Kaplan. Donuts and Cheer. Is that like, I wonder what that's code for, right? And then this one, I think this is like a title, Douglas Oberwortman. So I think like an Oberwortman is like an English title. It's like gamesman or ombudsman. I'm saying that wrong, but Oberwortman, I think that's like it's got to be an old English title. I don't quite know what they're in charge of, but he's an important fucking dude somehow. Got Ellie Pell. Gotta have Ellie back on soon. Got Emily Mayer, the mayor of Culture City. 50 Cent, Enrico Tello. Eric Wester. Got to enjoy a good run with Eric the other day out on the End. Franklin Gandiaga. Franklin, the founding father. Franklin Gandalf. He's the founding father of Lord of the Rings. Fred Wills. That's Fast Fred from Cheshire, for those keeping score. Joffrey Myler. Let's see. Gregory Matt High. Or Hi Matt. So, So that's like we got a Gregory there. So it Greg, or it could be Greg or Y Matt High. I don't know. I'm not making much sense of that, but give me time. I'll figure it out. We have Heidi Stearns and Foster. JJ Duran. Got to give a shout out to JJ because I know he weighed in on Ultra Runner of the Year and threw out Lila's name, which was pretty cool that he did that. Jack I. Smith. Jacques Zerbach. Hope you're feeling no pain, or actually hope you can find some pain. And that means it's just bread, people. So I'm not like a masochist here, right? Okay, give me a break. I'm not that fucking bad. Jake Cocotine, Jamie Myler, got Jank, got Jane Barker. So actually Jane has the ability, like, she can talk to the animals, specifically dogs. So Jessica Crandall, knows all, sees all. Jillian Ellefson, Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Trail Shards. Joseph Morris Rowe, he is running every fucking street you can imagine. I have to check up on him and see where he is right now. He's probably out, like, I don't know, running all the streets in like Pennsylvania now or something. I have Just a Plotter and Just Inkowski, Karen Plato, Kelsey Yang. So I just did some run Eng with Kelsey the other day out of Marathon Sports. Lands a lot, takes off a lot too. Lauren Edelman, Law Dog. Congratulations on finishing. So Law Dog actually walked the whole dog 100. So that's pretty cool to be able to do that, and finished in a reasonable time too. So beat quite a lot of people by walking most of the course, which is quite remarkable. So congratulations to him for that. Got Leanne Zarger, Laz. Got Lenny's mom, she's got it going on. Liz Vicious 30. Macho Man. Got Mark W. Kelly. Rat-a-tat-tat. Marty DeCal. Matt Nielsen Schmielsen Report. Michael Keogh. Michael Lopresti-Loop. Michelle Pom-Pom O'Neill. Microscopic Porcupine. Mike Reardong. The G is invisible, but not silent. So, Miles Victors. To the Victors belongs the Miles. It's like you can put the first name last name first. Doesn't fucking matter. It's still going to come out good. Mommy Gregory. Monkey Stuffer. Reagan. Show up for life, baby. We'll see you there. Name. Matt Zilski. So he's got nothing, but he's got everything still. Nicole Cash and Carey, Peter Keogh, powered by Pop Tarts. Hey Tarts, wishing you and your family all the best. Prairie's Cocoa Panties, Rebecca Gonzalez Kreisberg, Iceberg. She's actually 7/10 of her running goes unreported. Richard runs trails on YouTube, finishes Traveler 100. So Richard runs trails on YouTube, actually is a YouTube channel. So you might want to go check that out. Rob the Bear Breckenridge, or as I've said, Rob the Bear Ass Breckenridge. Don't know how that got thrown in there, but it did. Deal with it, people. Ron Lacandro, Ross Belak, Rufus and Brenda Chafee Fortin Chafee Chocolatey Chicken, Run the Whites at Midnight, Rusty Red Wagon, Sam Dibidall, Sandy Barbells, got Sarah Porras, Suing and Crewin, Big Scott Johnson, Simon C. Edgett, Scobuffs, Slurpee Runner, 7-11 day, Steep Endurance, Brian Vanderhyde, Steve Estorama. So check out his races, Conquer the World, Spring Into Trails. I think he just threw his calendar up on Facebook. on our Facebook group, which is something else you guys might consider doing. If you're not a member of our Facebook group, go there and I don't know, tell us what you liked about episodes, and we'll ignore it and move on. Okay. Next up is Ty, the Blue Hills Contagion, the Lazarus Crew, Tom, the Destroyer, Staradai, Tony D, and then Tweak Hayton. So it could be Tweak Hayton, but it's actually Tweak Hayton. I'll have to work on that some more too. So it's probably like a code, like TWE. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not quite sure. I'm working on it. Yeah, Tweak Hayton. There you go. Ultra Walker. Walt Hammer, coming to a refrigerator near you. We can all change the world for better, a little every day. William, Keep Running Bro on YouTube, Jara. And Z Mike Cook, Desitin in the rear. So thanks again to all of our Patreons, and thank you everybody for listening. Hopefully we get an episode out before the holidays are over, but if by some miracle of life we don't, just want to take a moment and say thank you to everybody out there for listening and hanging out with us. Okay, love you guys. Have a great night. Bye. Or great. It might not be night. Come on. Have a. I guess it's kind of like the dusk of the year. So, have a great life. Bye-bye.
The Cultra Crew, come and have a listen to the Cultra Crew. The largest town, the monkey too. Come and have a listen to the Cultra Crew. Cultra Crew, put Desitin all over you. Make your ass crack feel like new. Come and have a listen to the Cultra Crew.
Fuck. Oh my fucking...